Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is our third podcast.
Welcome.
I'm Bud,
I'm Dennis.
and this is NWO Untamed.
Northwest Ohio, untamed and uncut.
All right, so today we're getting into something a little bit, like you said, we're going for intellectual beings, ghosts.
Ghosts that can interact with you. Ghosts that could jack you off, bud.
I wish I had a ghost like that.
It's called a succubus and an incubus, and they are very nice to have around. They suck you of your energy, but they give you lots of sexy good time, love you long time.
How was your week this week, Dennis?
Long, boring, and untamed and uncut.
Are you glad it's the weekend?
I still got to work tomorrow, so it's not quite the weekend for me, but yeah.
All right, so I got 4 short stories that I think everybody's going to love. And Dennis, what do you have for us?
I just have one history of a very haunted fucking place. Everybody's going to love this. It's going to be great. And before we do that, I really want to get into, we'd mentioned talking about some poltergeist activity as one of the 4 types of haunting. Upon further investigation, what we believe is poltergeists do not exist. Poltergeists are better explained in one of the other 3 categories of hauntings that we have already mentioned.
They're just basically everything. It's kind of hard to even categorize a Pokemon.
There is a Pokemon called Poltergeist now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, but no. So we're really not going to go into deep detail about them just because we feel like they're, it literally means noisy ghost. And so, yeah, that's not something we're going to cover here. We'll cover poltergeist hauntings, yes, but we're not going to go into deep detail about poltergeists or poltergeists if you're not a Pokemon. Anyway, we're going to get into Bud's story first, and then we're going to go through my little history of this place, and we're going to kick this off. Let's do this.
Okay, so I got 4 short stories of the strangest intellectual ghosts. The first one is the Shreem.
The Shreem?
The Shreem.
Ooh, sounds sexy.
Well, I mean, once you hear this, I doubt you'll think it's sexy.
I don't know, man. If I met a chick named Shreem,
well,
I would Shreemer.
Well, this one comes out of Japan.
Knew it.
It's not all tentacle porn and anime. The story goes, and yeah, this is true, that a samurai was walking around Kyoto, patrolling and, just doing samurai stuff. Then he hears a whisper. Wait. So he he's like, where the hell did that even come from? So he follows it, hears it again. Wait. And all of a sudden, he sees a naked man. Just middle-aged man with his back turned to him. Just naked as hell. The samurai thinks to himself, he must be a pervert or, a drunk or something. I should definitely go see what's going on.
He was a peeping Tom.
He might have been.
An ancient peeping Tom.
Well, this is where this story gets a little strange. He pursues him. The naked guy runs. When he finally catches up to him, he bends over and spreads his butt cheeks. And between his butt cheeks is a orange-sized eyeball that glowed like lightning.
See, I told you this was a sexy story, bud. Continue.
That's it.
So it was an orange eye, not a brown eye.
It was a orange-sized eye in his asshole.
Okay, so I could picture teeth in an asshole, kind of like the man eating vagina. But what is up with this orange eyeball? And then also it's kind of comical to think that the samurai is just following this guy running along naked, like dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. His dick dangling all over the place, and the samurai's just like, oh, I must have checked this out.
Well, apparently it's a yokai of some sort in Japan.
Okay, so what you're saying is that in the next generation of Pokemon, this will be one of the Pokemon.
I hope not. Others reported the Shirimi as well, but they're very, very similar. Guy walks out, smokes a cigarette, finds a naked guy, approaches him in the alleyway, and all of a sudden, butthole eye.
So the moral of this story is, you see a naked guy in Japan, do not follow him. Let him do his own thing, which actually the moral of the story is, you see a naked guy anywhere, just leave him alone. He's probably drunk or he's a fucking yokai and you don't want to mess with that.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, you didn't do number 2.
This is number 4. I'm going back.
Oh, okay. So this is number 2 for everybody else that's listening.
Comes from Malaysia. It's called the Hantu Tetek.
Hantu Tetek.
Yeah.
Tetek.
It's a very strange and very kind of pervy kind of ghost.
Ooh, another sexy one. I like this.
From roughly English, and you could do this in Google Translate, it's going to do the same thing. It means titty ghost.
Ooh, digging it.
Okay, she goes around luring young and attractive men in with her big titties. And when I say big, they're in comparison, it'd be like triple Z's.
So pretty much they drag the ground.
I guess.
I'm just, I have a cousin who's very well endowed in that area, and I think she has to get like special made her bras, and it's like triple J or something, and they're freaking massive. So I can only imagine that would be like dragging the ground. Nipples hard all the time, and probably a little bit sore and scabby.
And what she does is she lures them in and smothers them to death with her big giant titties. Now, that don't sound like a bad way to go to you, does it?
No, I was about ready to say, if you have to go.
It'd be a hell of a story in the afterlife. But, as the people that have seen it and not died, they say it is a 900-pound woman with the complexion of a 90-year-old woman.
Where did you say that this comes from?
Malaysia.
Okay, so another Asian place. So, are you sure that they're not just seeing a freaking sumo wrestler and thinking that it's, it's just a sumo wrestler running around, a perverted sumo wrestler that's like, hey, look at my titties, I smother you.
That's not the worst part. The worst part is the people that have cited it and say she's a 900-pound, 90-year-old woman say the titties are on her back.
Ooh, that's... backwards woman, a backwards woman, and a backwards woman, a backwards woman.
Now, there was a movie called Ghost Stories You Tell in
Freddy got fingered?
No, Ghost Stories You Tell in the Dark. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I have not. I don't think.
It's got a big, creepy lady in it that hugs you to death. And that was their interpretation.
Their take on it, yeah.
Of this ghost.
Well, I mean... it sounds to me like another yokai. I don't know. It really does. Asian myth in general, you're going to find so much of this weird crap.
Japan in general, I could do a whole damn episode of Japan ghosts, and they are just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, our first plug. There's a podcast called Myths and Legends by Jason Weiser, and I think he's actually from around here, bud. But he actually talks a lot in his Myths and Legends about some different Japanese stuff. Have you ever heard of the Tanaki?
Yeah.
Those things are freaking awesome. Like, I mean, to be able to do anything with your balls that you want, anyway. We're going off topic here, but Tanakis are really cool. If you guys have a chance to look them up, check them out. Tanakis. You will not be let down.
Well, you heard it from Dennis. He's Tanaki.
Yes. Very cool.
Taquitos.
They probably eat taquitos. I wouldn't be surprised. Taquitos are good.
Well, the third story in here is called The High Rate Ghost. The story begins at High Rate Pond in England with a man named Sir Francis Bacon.
Ooh, that's a great name already. It must be Kevin Bacon's great uncle or some shit.
He was a scientist in 1626.
Okay, never mind. Take that back. No relation to Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon don't have enough brains to come from scientists.
Well, he had an idea about freezing meat to preserve it.
Like his meat or...
like poultry.
When did you say this was?
1626.
Okay, so they didn't know you were supposed to freeze meat then. I thought we were way farther than that in 1626. But okay, all right, got it.
Well, back then, medical science and science in general was a wacky crackpot of trial and error. I'm pretty sure they used salts and shit back then. This was England. So to test this theory, he went out and killed a chicken, and he stuffed it in the snow to prove it proved to be true. I mean, obviously we do it nowadays. We push it in the freezer.
So is this going to be a story about the ghost of the chicken that came back as a hungry cockatrice?
We're going to get into that. Unfortunately, he caught pneumonia from that night.
The chicken?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sir Francis Bacon. Eventually, he died from that. Now, the site of his death, where his death was, has been haunted ever since. But not by Sir Francis himself. But people claim to see
goddamn chicken.
People seem to see
I knew it.
Ghostly chicken. To this day, you could go there and see this ghostly chicken.
So is it like a fun chicken, or is it like an evil, demonic, like peck your freaking eyeballs out chicken?
Apparently, it approaches you and
it crows, right?
Tries
It
to
just crows.
attack you.
Oh, I thought it was like the alarm clock that you can't shut off.
But when they go to guard themselves, it disappears.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
not
All right, that's an interesting one. So we've covered some hauntings on this show so far, but not one of a chicken.
No.
I mean, we've had a pooping ghost, but not one of a chicken.
The last one is more of a act, and it's crazy, but people believe it. So the last one, some people in this world believe that ghosts embody people just to get the taste of sweet, sweet booty again. It definitely makes sense. I mean, if you're living, what's the 3 things you love the most? Probably eating, sex, and probably sleeping.
I feel like that was the pirate ghost's true intention all along. It just wanted to get into that lady so it could feel it getting banged again.
Apparently, these people believe if you are in the act or thinking about sex with multiple people or more than just one, you may be possessed by a sex ghost.
Okay, so you're telling me that all those pornos I like to watch with the cream pie gangbangs, all of those women are possessed, and I guess the men by that definition are possessed by a ghost?
They may be.
Awesome. I'm watching ghost porn.
So, step 1 of knowing if you are possessed by a step ghost or sex ghost is you contact the expert. The expert will examine your genitals to see if he sees any deteriorating, color changing, just warp.
Those ghost herpes that we've been talking about before.
Warpness of your genitals.
Spiritual herpes. Okay.
The next step, if he thinks that you are possessed, he will perform a sexorcism.
So is that where he has sex with you?
Well, we'll get into that. This is where the expert will have the most degrading and rough sex, finger in the butt, everything, for hours upon hours until he gets that ghost to submit and leave that body.
What this sounds like to me?
What's that?
An expert's chance to fuck as hard and crazy as he wants to for hours on end with many, many people. He's possessed by the ghost. The expert is possessed by the ghost, if you think about it.
Now, there's people that have said they've had this done and it has cleansed them. To say it has cleansed them of these demons where they could live normal lives without thinking about sex all the time. That's all the stories I got for today.
Well, those were very exciting, and I'm sorry to say, my story might just be a little bit more dry than that. Just a bit more dry than that. But it's a very exciting place. It is called the Ohio State reformatory, okay? This prison is located in Mansfield, Ohio. And the interesting thing about Mansfield, Ohio, is it got its name from the fact that this prison is there, and there is so many mans in the field behind the prison that they called it Mansfield. Did you know that?
I did not, actually.
Well, that's good, because it's not true.
Oh, you dickhead.
Anyway, the OSR was originally called the Intermediate Penitentiary, and the reason it was called this is because they were never expecting crazy killers to be there. This was an intermediate prison, meaning you get in trouble for the first time, you do something that's not too crazy, this is the place that you're going to go. It was never meant to be a place for crazy people and crazy things. Okay, so you had first-time offenders in the prison. They wanted to integrate them successfully back into the population, okay? Construction began on this in 1886. Now, before going too much further, I want to comment on the way the place looks. You look at the front of this, and it looks like a freaking castle.
Is that Shawshank?
¿Por qué tú hablas mucho? Tú necesitas callarte, güero.
I have no idea what you just said.
Quit talking so much and shut up.
Well, I want to know if it's Shawshank.
We'll get into all of this.
All right, go.
Okay. Now, this place looks like a castle of sorts. It's absolutely huge. As tragic as a past as it has, it's beautiful. In fact, many of you already know what it looks like, and I'm going to tell you why a little bit later. Mr. Spoiler alert. So, as I was saying, construction began for the Intermediate Penitentiary in 1886, and it went on for some time, actually for 24 years, ending in 1910, while receiving its first 150 prisoners in 1896. And the reason those 150 prisoners were there in 1896 was to help finish construction. This was a working prison. People that went there worked. Like the way it should be. In my
it was a simpler
opinion.
time. I'm Morgan Freeman.
It was a simpler time. Nice. I love the segue there. Love it. What, green? Was that red? Red.
Yeah,
okay.
You got it.
After being finished, the prison's name changed to OSR. It was I forget what it was called before that. Damn it. I did not put that down here. But it was called something else. And then changed to Ohio. Oh, it was called the Men's Intermediate Prison, and then after that, it changed to Ohio State Reformatory. Around the turn of the century, crime in Columbus and throughout the Ohio spiked, and not just petty crimes. Due to the higher rate of crime in Ohio, violent offenders had to be placed in this reformatory. So it went from a place that was not supposed to have violent, multiple-time offenders in it, to a place where it did have them in there. And here's the craziest part. They're being mixed in there with people who are there for the first time. So now you have crazy rapist murderers in there with people who committed a robbery that might have just turned a new leaf if maybe they were reformed correctly, but now it's all getting muddled up.
I had a buddy that was a prison guard for kind of a petty prison. And I said, I got a prison around my house. And he goes, holy shit, that was a crazy ass prison. And I was like, I didn't know.
Which prison?
Mansfield prison.
Oh, this one.
Yes. And I had no idea. I had no idea the history. I've seen Shawshank, but I had no idea it was in Ohio.
Yeah, me either. And then to get into the history of this, it even gets crazier. Just wait.
Let's get it.
At times, the population rose to the point rose to the point where 3 people would be housed in a single man cell. So that means the population was 3 times the amount of what it was ever meant to be. And if you think of how huge this place is, I think it said something about 500 single man cells. You think of the size of this place is huge, and to have 3 times that many people in it, this place was full. And so, because of this, it led to disease running rampant and increased hostility between inmates. You think, you put, 3 criminals in the same room that are used to committing violent offenses. What's going to happen? They're going to butt heads.
They're going to butt something.
And that too. They're going to get raped. And when you have that many people in a cell, gang raped.
Question.
Yes.
Can we visit this place?
Yes, we can. Anybody can. You can get online, look up the Ohio State Reformatory. Throughout the year, they actually do all these tours, and then in the fall time, they turn it into a freaking ghost place where you go to and the people chase you and everything, and you're there at nighttime. And then on top of all the history of this place and the fact that it's actually haunted, you have that. So go there if you want to have a heart attack. And I'm going this fall. Already talked to the old lady about it. It's happening.
We're going. Fist bump.
We're going.
All right.
So I'm going to take some baby aspirin before I go. So the increased hostility was an issue, okay? And then you couple that with the fact that the prison staff that manned it was the same as if it were for regular capacity. So they were understaffed, overpopulated. And in order to deal with the overpopulation, the prison guards actually went kind of cuckoo on the inmates. They had to. You know, they're like, okay, you do this, we're doing that. So we're talking about things like torture. Discipline was actual torture. Not only was there the infamous hole, but they also had an electronic torture device called the butterfly. Okay, they had a place called the sweat box in the summertime where they just put you in there and you're like in a freaking sauna all day, sweating, wishing you were dead.
Maybe that's where Morgan Freeman got his freckles.
Probably, because what I read was it was actually reserved for the colored inmates there.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was specifically for the colored inmates in the sweat box. I don't know why, but it was. And then there was the suicides. One inmate literally set himself on fire. His name was James Lockhart, okay? And he actually took a whole bottle of turpentine, poured it all over his body, set himself on fire, and people tried to put him out, and all they could do was just sit there and watch him melt. It was like some next level shit. Like, they literally watched this guy's face melt off, and he died.
I bet that smelled wonderful.
Oh, it probably smelled like John Coffey in the freaking electric chair. That's what it smelled like. But, this guy here, this is the problem I was talking about earlier. Okay, you take first time offenders and you put them in with crazies, right? This was one of the first time offenders, and he was being picked on because his crime was of a lesser degree than the people around him, and he felt like his only way out was suicide. And apparently, I don't know why he didn't find a better way to do it. Honestly, I think burning to death would be one of the worst ways to go out.
Well, if you really think about it, let's really think about how you would be remembered if you caught yourself on fire to death.
And then there was you're badass.
Yeah,
you're badass.
Kind of a badass.
That's metal. near. But anyway, so what we're talking about here is the suicides. Another one hung themselves. They figured out they were going to be being transferred to another prison. Apparently, this other prison was worse. I don't know how. So they literally, tied the sheets around their neck, jumped out of a window, and hung themselves, and was just found there hanging. One documented death happened when two inmates were put in solitary together due to overcrowding. Then, the next morning for roll call, only one came out. Upon further inspection, they found the man's cellmate broken in half under the mattress.
Holy damn.
Yes, this is the stuff. These are the intense, violent deaths that have happened here that make this place one of the biggest hotspots for paranormal activity that you can find.
Can we? I would like to stay the night there.
They do have paranormal investigators that do that, and it is a possibility, but we just have to figure out how to do it. And I think it takes us getting a little bit bigger on this, and then being like, "Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do." A live episode coming, maybe, guys. We'll see. But
That'd
anyway,
be pretty sweet.
These aren't the only tragic deaths that happened here. Lore goes that a 14-year-old was beaten to death in the basement by a guard. Now, I don't know what a 14-year-old was doing there. I don't know if I know that there's a lot of new laws as far as charging minors, but back then there might not have been, so maybe that's what it was. But this 14-year-old boy was beat to death by a guard. Now, something happened to this guard, too, because the story goes that if you're in the basement of this area, you will feel the child's energy, and it's a light energy. It's not menacing. It's not dark. You can almost feel him trying to escape the area, and then when the guard comes around, you'll feel this really sinister energy there. And these are the kind of intelligent hauntings that we're talking about. These things can interact with you. They can make you feel what they're feeling, and you feel their spirit, what they are, malicious intent, non-malicious intent. This is intelligent haunting here.
Well, we joke around a lot on this show, of course, because some things are batshit crazy, but we definitely would not do this if we didn't believe in spirits, ghosts.
Oh, 110%. We've had experience where we know they exist.
Correct.
For sure. So, in 1930 alone, a fire broke out, killing 330 people. One day, fire broke out, 330 people, injuring more than 200 others. That means a large portion of that prison population, 33%, was burnt or killed in this fire. Okay? So the chapel used to be a place where executions happened, and then they built the chapel on the property, or on the same place where they did the executions at. It was not just inmates with tragic deaths either. Louis Glatzik was the superintendent from 1935 to 1959. He was respected by the inmates and employees alike. He implemented things like pipe music, filtering in through the pipes into cells. So, that part from the Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah.
That was a for real thing in that prison. They actually did have music that was to go in the cells. They knew they had overcrowding. They knew they had problems with violent inmates mixing with non-violent inmates. And so this warden was like, okay, maybe the way we solve this is by trying to implement some nicer things, getting along better with the inmates, and maybe, have a summer of love. I don't know. Didn't work out in Seattle, but maybe that's what he was going for.
He carved figurines.
Yes, he carved figurines. So his wife was named Helen. Okay, she was cleaning one day in the family quarters and reached into the jewelry box. A gun fell from where it was, hit the ground, and shot her straight in the lung, and she died 3 days later. It says of pneumonia. But it's just kind of weird how she gets shot in one lung and then gets pneumonia in the other.
That's like COVID nowadays, I have cancer, but I died of COVID.
Yep. Okay, so she died 3 days later. This was in 1950. And then later, he had a heart attack in his office, February 10th, 1959. So it's not just violent inmate deaths. It's not just fire deaths.
Just bad luck in general.
This place was open for over 90 years.
It's a bad fucking juju right there.
Okay, 154,000 inmates ended up going through this place in the over 90 years. So when you think about it, you can expect a lot of deaths from that. But still, it's just like some of the tragic stuff that happened here. It's just insane. So, okay, 2 guards were also killed in escape attempts. So, lots of tragic things. People say when you go through this, you can feel things watching you. You see things, and there's even one place called the chair room. All it is a room, and there's a chair in the middle. And my only assumption on this is, I did not look more into this, but my only assumption on this is it must have been where they put the guy who they couldn't get to calm down. They put him in here in the chair, and that's all there is in this room. Well, one visitor was sitting in this chair and ended up leaving with scratches all up and down him. And this is the only place in the whole prison where they found physical contact, where they found actually a person getting hurt from the spirits that are there.
I'll fight a ghost. I don't care.
So I'm not going into that room.
I'm going.
Let me go. Okay, you go. I'll watch you. And you know what? If a ghost jumps on your back, I will go and choke it off of you.
I will masturbate in that chair. I don't care.
Let's see it. Okay, so now to get to the reason that I think everybody should really know this prison, okay? This is going to be cool because somewhere on this list, and there's lots more, I just didn't put it all on here because I didn't feel like I needed to go through all of it. But there's a lot more. Everybody has seen this prison. I don't care what your walk of life is. I don't care if you've seen the Shawshank Redemption. You've seen one of these things, okay? So, in April 2006, a movie came out called Fallen Angels. The whole movie was filmed in the Ohio State Reformatory.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
In 2004, Lil Wayne came out with a video called Go DJ, filmed at the Ohio State Reformatory.
I didn't know that one.
Okay. I didn't write down the date for this, but the music video Awake by Godsmack had parts filmed at the Ohio State Reformatory. In 1997, a movie called Air Force One. Parts of it were filmed at the Ohio State Reformatory, and the parts where they were in the Russian prison is the parts that was filmed there. The most famous thing in 1994, The Shawshank Redemption. Most of the movie was shot at the Ohio State Reformatory. In 1989, another one a lot of people will know, Tango and Cash, used for various scenes in Tango and Cash. And then the last one, Harry and Walter Go to New York, 1975. That was the first one. That was the first time anything was ever filmed there. Now, the thing to keep in mind, Harry and Walter Go to New York, Tango and Cash, those were both going to be recorded while the prison was still active, while there were still inmates there. So, and there's many more. I didn't write all of them down. But the fact of the matter is, everybody has seen this prison. It's a beautiful place with a tragic history and a lot of paranormal activity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is such a good place to go. We should definitely go.
I mean, I found this. I was doing my research the other day.
And I'm still going to masturbate in that chair.
I want to go, like, stoned out my gourd, to be honest. Like, I mean, you know, just kind of chilled, relaxed, and just watch all this stuff go down. Maybe feel a little bit more. I don't know. It's going to be a cool experience. We're definitely going to go this fall. It will happen.
Yeah, I think that's all we have. But a quick note, we're definitely going to do some live video episodes of us doing stupid shit. And I think one of the first ones we do is we're going to have a hot off. And what that is where we take the hottest shit we can and put it on wings and just eat it. And maybe it's not something that goes on this podcast, but it definitely...
It's us.
Yeah.
So, we got ghost peppers, we got Carolina Reapers, we got scorpion peppers, we got habaneros. We got habaneros that have interbred with scorpion peppers. We have... I don't even know what all the other ones are called. We got a lot of different peppers going on right now.
Would you eat a ghost pepper in a ghost place?
I think that's really the only way to truly get the full experience of a ghost pepper. I feel like there's a reason they call it the ghost pepper and that you have to be in a haunted place to really get it all to come out.
All right, well, that's it for us. I'm Bud.
I'm going to go jack off.
And this is NWO Untamed
and Uncut.